Okay, let's unpack this. So today, we're doing a deep dive into the really fascinating career of Leonard Bey. He's a visual artist, right? But also an art educator.
And a significant cultural advocate, too,
Okay.
working out of Karbi Anglong in Assam, India.
Exactly. A lot going on there.
Yeah, and our goal here really is to pull together what the sources tell us about him, charting his whole professional path, from his very impressive formal training
Right.
all the way to these, key leadership roles he's taken on in regional art groups.
And the picture that emerges, it's someone who's managed to blend this deep tribal identity with, well, global artistic standards.
Yeah,
Successfully.
quite effectively.
And the main story here, I think, is pretty powerful. Bey emerges as this pivotal figure who didn't just sort of document his culture.
No, he did more.
He really professionalized its art scene. He took these intensely local artistic traditions of Karbi Anglong and, through his education and just sheer effort, he put them firmly on the global map. So we'll dig into the specific artworks, the institutional backing he got, and the community structures he actually helped build.
And that kind of influence, it always starts with the creative work itself, doesn't it?
True.
What's really fascinating, I find, is that his entire artistic approach seems driven by cultural identity. His paintings, they're not just, pretty pictures or landscapes.
Right.
They're these deep visual explorations into Karbi culture, really focusing hard on local folklore, these unique mythic themes, traditions that might otherwise just fade away.
Yeah, doing that crucial work of making sure those foundational cultural stories aren't just preserved, but actually retold.
Right.
Through a specific contemporary Karbi perspective.
Exactly. And the sources point to one really magnificent example of this, his multi-piece series called Sabin Alun.
Sabin Alun. Tell us about that.
Well, Sabin Alun it's really compelling because it's his unique vision of the Karbi Ramayan.
The Ramayan. Wow.
Yeah, think about that. The Ramayan is, one of the world's great epics, instantly recognizable across huge parts of Asia.
Sure.
So by reinterpreting it, by localizing this universal story, he's doing something really powerful culturally. It's affirming Karbi identity.
Making sure this huge epic is seen, understood, entirely through a distinct Karbi lens.
Precisely.
It anchors it.
And it's not just the big narratives either, is it? His art seems full of these visual cues that root it in tradition.
Absolutely. They're not just abstract ideas floating around. They're tied to specific recognizable symbols from Karbi heritage.
Like what, for instance?
Well, he often features really important cultural markers like the Jambili Athon totem in his works.
Okay.
And this deliberate inclusion, it links his contemporary fine art pieces directly back to the spiritual and social history of his tribal roots. It's all about continuity.
Right, connecting the past and present.
And you can see the success of this approach in where his art ends up. Locally, he's celebrated, right? His paintings are shown at big community events like the Karbi Youth Festival.
Yeah, that shows deep acceptance at home, which is vital.
But there's also this layer of modern thinking, too. His work isn't just stuck in regional galleries or, super high-end international places only a few can access.
No, and that's crucial. His art is actually available online through platforms like Fine Art America and Pixel.
Okay, so broader access.
Exactly. This makes that unique Karbi perspective instantly available to a global audience. People interested in prints, reproductions. It sort of democratizes access to the art form itself.
That makes sense. That dual presence, local respect, and global reach seems key to his influence.
Definitely.
But, identity alone doesn't give you the weight, the gravitas to lead local movements or speak confidently internationally.
True. There needs to be something more foundational.
So let's maybe pivot from the art itself to the foundation that gave him that essential credibility.
Yeah, which raises that important question. What formal training allowed him to bridge that gap, between potentially isolated tribal art and the rigorous demands of the global contemporary art scene?
Well, the sources are very specific here. Leonard Bey holds a Master of Fine Arts, an MFA, from Visva-Bharati University, Santiniketan.
Ah, Santiniketan, that's a big deal.
It really is. For context, this university, set up by Rabindranath Tagore, it's historically one of India's absolute top art institutions. famous specifically for blending traditional Indian arts with modern, even experimental practices.
Right. And that academic background, that's like the intellectual engine behind his work, isn't it?
Seems like it.
It gave him the foundation, not just the technical skill, though that's important, but the theoretical framework.
Yeah.
The concepts needed to successfully merge those traditional tribal aesthetics with contemporary art practices.
Yeah, it ensures his work is intellectually solid,
Yeah.
aesthetically sophisticated, takes it way beyond just folk craft.
Professional mastery.
Yeah. And that mastery, earned at a top institution, it got noticed internationally. The sources mention he won an art award from Spain back in 2008.
That recognition is highly symbolic, I think.
How so?
Well, it marks a kind of turning point. It's not just Leonard Bey getting an award. It symbolizes the emergence of Karbi artists and their unique culture onto the global stage. It proves that this deep local focus can actually achieve worldwide validation.
Okay, I see. So he's got the cultural roots, he's got the elite education, he's got the global nod, but he didn't just rest on that.
No, he took on serious organizational roles. He served as the Foreign Secretary for International Relations for the Karbi Anglong Fine Artist and Craftsmen Association, KAFACA.
KAFACA, quite a title, Foreign Secretary.
It is. And that role shows his commitment goes way beyond his own studio.
Right.
Being the Foreign Secretary implies a real focus on outreach, doesn't it? Connecting his local association to other art bodies, institutions, markets outside Assam.
Building bridges.
Exactly. His leadership there and just his relentless effort in organizing events, it's clearly contributed massively to building up a genuinely vibrant, stable, sustainable arts community across Assam.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me.
Go on.
Because we see this dual identity really come to the fore. We're not just looking at an internationally recognized artist. We're looking at a dedicated educator, someone committed to lifting up the next generation.
That's absolutely right. Alongside everything else, the painting, the organizing, he keeps up his role as a trained graduate teacher in art education under the Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, KVS.
Which is the central government school system in India.
Correct. So he's actively involved in formal teaching, pedagogy.
And his impact as a teacher seems profound because he really targets grassroots development.
How so?
Well, he's actively mentored young artists, run open art competitions, and really put energy into raising awareness of fine art, specifically in rural and tribal areas. Places where access to that kind of formal artistic knowledge might be, almost zero.
Yeah, and if you connect that to the bigger picture, his advocacy work tackles a fundamental issue in cultural preservation, which is access to knowledge.
Right. Often young artists have to leave their home communities just to learn the institutional language of art.
Exactly. And this is where I think his most phenomenal effort comes in. Leonard Bey has actually gone the extra mile, translating important artistic messages, complex technical ideas, directly into the local Karbi language.
Wow. That's huge.
It is huge. That effort is so critical for democratizing art education there.
Yeah, translation just cuts through those institutional barriers immediately, doesn't it?
Totally. It means the next generation doesn't need to be fluent in English or Hindi just to understand basic concepts like color theory or composition.
It helps bridge their local heritage with these broader global art movements by making the knowledge itself instantly accessible and culturally relatable.
Yes. And it also fights that subtle idea that serious art has to be taught or talked about in an outside language.
Right. It validates Karbis as a language capable of handling artistic theory. It empowers the local community.
And there's more. He also introduced the public celebration of International Artist Day to Karbi Anglong.
Okay. Why is that significant?
Well, it's a deliberate public act. It's about institutionalizing the visibility of artists locally. It helps put the region more visibly on the world art map, and it encourages the coexistence, the appreciation of both very traditional tribal forms and contemporary art practices right there in the same community space.
That's a wonderful sort of legacy summary, isn't it? His contributions are holistic. You get the soaring inspiration from his paintings and the practical institutional guidance through his teaching and advocacy. It ensures this momentum keeps going, inspiring new generations there.
So what does this all mean? I think the synthesis is pretty clear. Leonard Bey really represents this powerful, successful intersection of a deeply rooted cultural heritage, validated by top-tier formal education, and then all of that leverage towards dedicated community leadership. He's not just an artist, he's like a crucial cultural architect for his people.
It's a truly compelling story, how one person can work to make sure their community is both seen and supported on a global scale.
Definitely. We should probably note for you, the listener, that while the sources give us a great sense of his achievements, they also suggest there's limited detailed public biographical info out there.
Right, like you might struggle to find a specific birth date or a full verified list of every exhibition he's ever been in, that sort of thing.
Exactly. But his active presence is easy to find online, which kind of reinforces his modern approach to getting the word out, especially through his YouTube channel, Art for All Leonard Bey,
Ah.
and those commercial art platforms we mentioned earlier.
Right, which brings us neatly to the final provocative thought for you to mull over, building on this whole career of, well, bridging different worlds.
Considering his intense personal effort to translate complex art concepts into the Karbi language and to bring something like International Artist Day to his local community, how effective do you think leveraging those big commercial online art platforms like Fine Art America and Pixels really is compared to strengthening dedicated local organizations like KAFACA, especially for the long-term work of preserving and promoting a distinct tribal art form globally? Which path ultimately leaves the deepest, most resilient legacy for the next generation of Karbi artists? Is it the digital marketplace or the physical community structure? Something to think about.